Hey guys, this is BurtBot again. I'm doing another AzurLane video of a cell phone slash mobile game, and this is the second video in a series, and it's pretty much going to be an overview. In this video, we're actually going to focus on the base element, which is characters and character creation. So we're going to start out with how you get characters. So you're going to start out with a basic character, a upfront elite character, which is actually pretty nice. And that would be, in my case, it's the character you see on the screen here. And you also, through the tutorial, will get some other characters. But I think some of the things that you don't pick up when you do this is we're going to go over to the build tab on the bottom right corner. Click on the build tab and it pulls up a menu that has a lot of flashy infographics or graphics that kind of, special event, construction rate up, limited time. And these are all types of tools that are kind of getting you to think, oh shit, well, I need to get in on this and start making these characters as soon as possible. But hopefully you guys are here and you're kind of learning, and you'll take a step back and not rush into certain things, right? So let's go over the building tab real quick. At the very top, or on the left side of the screen, you see tabs that say build, orders, enhance, and retire. These are all very important tabs. So the build tab is where we're at right now, and this has a series of tabs that we can select at the bottom of the screen, right? Limited build, light, heavy, and special. So something to note up front is limited builds are just a tab for you to buy into a limited time pool of ships right now. They put in this case, Atago, Prince of Wales, and Vampire into a pool of ships that are common, rare, super rare, or elite. And you essentially are buying opportunities to get these characters. Now, obviously, you're more than likely going to get common or rare ships, but you do have a increased chance to get a elite or super rare character, and that's important to understand, right? Now moving on, right, the limited build covers special event type ships. The light tab covers your things like light cruisers, destroyers, light carriers, repair ships, and others, right? So if you need smaller ships that are more they have higher evasion ratings, or better torpedo armaments, or they have high scouting material or high scouting rating, so they can spot enemy fleets on the mission map faster, then these are the types of ships that you want, right? Essentially, you're going to get a lot of light cruisers and destroyers. I haven't seen any repair ships, and I don't know what they mean by monitors. Not sure what they're talking about there. I have gotten some light carriers, definitely a lot of light cruisers, and some destroyers. Moving on to the heavy tab, this is where you're going to pick up things like heavy cruisers, battleships. These are like the backbone support type ships. I have a preference to having two battleships in my main fleet force, and we'll cover this all later, and having one aircraft carrier, but it's all about preference. But you go on the heavy tab, this is where you get, like I said, heavy cruisers or battleships, and then you click on the special tab. This is where you can get heavy cruisers, light cruisers, carriers. This is very important, carriers. If you want like specifically large carriers, we're not talking about little support carriers, and we'll cover this in a minute, but if you want the big stuff, this is where you want to go. This is a special tab, right? Now I have a decent amount of carriers and light cruisers, heavy cruisers, and even battleships. But one that I don't have and that I've wanted to get is the Nelson. I have Rodney, I don't have Nelson. And we're going to, just as a tutorial example, if we're going to buy, essentially what we're doing, like I said before, is buying chances about getting a ship, right? In this case, we're trying to get Nelson. So we have these things called wisdom cubes, right? They're up here in the top center. You see it says wisdom cube, and I have 42 of them. And if you look on the right side, right above the build button, there's how much it's going to cost per chance. Okay, so you have to factor things in, like how many coins do you have, how many wisdom cubes do you have. In this case, let's go for, let's see, we got 9,000, so we won't break the bank, but we'll take 4 chances to get Nelson, right? So now it takes us to the orders tab. On the far left side, you see it says orders is highlighted. And this shows you what you have in construction and what's in your queue. And right now we have 2 that are being built and 2 that are in the queue. And then it has a time for how long it's going to take for those to get finished. Now, if you look in the center top part, there's a thing called a quick finisher, and you're going to use quick finishers to finish your queue or whatever's in production, right? In this case, we're going to click on finish all, and it's going to say you have 10, and this is going to take up 4 of them. So we say, okay, confirm, and then it goes through all 4 of them automatically. And then they pop up. Right now, this is going to pop up with the character's information. They're going to have a little statement that they make, and then you can see things about the character, like the comments. You can look at the character, you can lock it, and you can share it. Once you get high enough level, you can share this to the chat and let everybody know that you got this one. In this case, the comments are usually not helpful, so I don't read the comments. They don't have helpful information about what the character is good at. Inspecting it, you can see it here. You don't need to look at it. Lock is probably the only important thing that you see on this menu. And I think that it's very important that if you want to collect all the characters, then the first character that you get of that one, like you'll get multiple Northamptons throughout the game. The longer you play, the more likely it is you're going to get duplicates. But you're going to lock the first duplicate that you get so that you never actually use up that character in enhancing or retiring. Those characters won't show up in enhancements or retirements if it's locked, which is very important. So you don't accidentally get rid of all of the one type of ship, right? In this case, Northampton. I have multiple Northamptons, so I'm not worried about locking it. Now, just touch the screen, move on to the next one. So we got Helena, right? Another ship that I already have, but Helena is a good ship. And you can see that this one is an elite. And generally speaking, you don't want to get rid of elites and super rares because you can use them to upgrade a current, and it's a lot more useful than retiring it unless you absolutely just don't need it, right? So Helena, elite, very nice pickup. A Portland, not terrible, but rare is almost essentially the same thing as common. And then a Tennessee, and I actually have a really high level Tennessee that I like. And Tennessee is a good battleship in the game, but I have that, right? So we didn't get what we wanted, unfortunately, but we're also not going to break the bank on buying chances to get characters. And if you do that, I highly discourage you from doing it because wisdom cubes are a very important asset to have, right? And I also don't recommend using quick finishers unless it's something that you can't wait for, right? And it's very easy to get impatient and just do quick finish on everything, but quick finishes are also hard to come by, so you want to keep your wisdom cubes as much as possible, and you want to keep your quick finishers. And you also don't want to deplete all your coins trying to go all in and leave yourself broke, right? So we didn't get what we wanted, but you're going to have to get used to that. You're not always going to get the ships or the characters that you want. Moving on down the tabs, you have enhance tab, or the exchange tab. Sorry, I probably mispronounced that. The exchange tab. And this is where you exchange a resource called Medal of Honor. Now you can get Medal of Honors through retiring rare or higher ships, but unless you absolutely have to, I don't recommend that you scrap rare or higher ships, because they could be useful in other ways. And you can get Medal of Honors by doing daily quests. They pop up in the mission tab. You retire a common ship and get 1 Medal of Honor for it. So you can use these Medals of Honor to get universal bullets or other ships that are in here. In this case, there's a bunch of destroyers and a heavy cruiser, but the destroyers and the heavy cruiser are all common, with the exception of the Charles Osborne, which is an elite that you can get for 30 Medals of Honor, or for 80 you can get a Enterprise, which is an aircraft carrier, which is super rare. So this is one of the ways you can access characters that are super rare without A, having to spend resources and chance it, or B, spending money on gems and then, pretty much buying a whole bunch of chances at getting a super rare character. So this is a way for players to get access to super rare characters without having to spend a single cent on the game, right? So if you want a super rare character, Medals of Honor is one way to do it without having to spend a penny. And this brings us to our last tab, which is the retirement tab. You just click on the retire. It pops up with all your characters that are eligible to be retired, and you can go down the list. Now, if you click on these, you notice that you get a very limited amount of resources for commons, right? In this case, if I were to retire 6 of these common characters, then I would only get 34 coins, 18 oil, and 0 Medals of Honor. That's worthless. So retiring common characters is a waste of time. Unless you're like extremely broke and you don't want to wait for oil or coins, then go for it. But you can use common characters to enhance higher, or like rares or super rares or elite characters, and they're more beneficial to you that way than actually selling or retiring them. But you'll notice if we go up here and we start clicking on rares, you get 1 Medal of Honor per rare, right? So if we were to scrap these 7 rare characters, then we would get 7 Medals of Honor, 22 oil, and 56 coins, which the coins and the oil amounts to nothing. But the Medals of Honor are 7. So if you are really hurting and you want to you have an excess of rare characters, then go by all means retire them and get Medals of Honor. But other than that, it's not worth it to retire characters at all. And then you can look at like an elite character is worth 4 Medals of Honor, right? So this is where you can start getting into, if you have an excess of elite characters, then you can retire a bunch of elite characters and get a super rare character. But I only recommend you do this if you absolutely have to get a super rare character. Other than that, there are other uses for characters that they're better suited for, and we'll cover that here in a minute. So we'll go back to the build tab. So that pretty much is a synopsis of what the build tab is and what resources you're going to use in this tab, and how to utilize it, and where you want to click and what you want to click on, depending on what you're looking for. Now we're going to go over to our dock, and this is where we're going to see a bunch of characters that we have, right? In this case, it's all laid out by essentially who's in my fleets. Now I have 2 different fleets, and those characters will take precedence over everybody else. And other than that, they're listed in level order, right? So out of all the characters that are in my 2 fleets, they're in level order. The highest being my Tennessee that I was talking about, the lowest being my Warspite, right? But you can see in the character screen, there's a lot of information here. Obviously, the picture of what the character looks like. But the more important thing is, there's a red little turret or a red little cannon up in the top left corner of the characters, or in the case of like supporters or battleships, there'll be like red cannons. A yellow cannon with a little plus sign is a heavy cruiser, and then the yellow cannon with no plus sign, just a yellow cannon by itself, is a light cruiser. The purple airplane is a carrier, and then the little torpedoes out of the blue ones, those are destroyers. So if you were to look at this just based off of those little icons, you can tell what type of character it is, whether it's a battleship character or if it's a heavy cruiser character, a regular or light cruiser character, an aircraft carrier character, or a destroyer character. And for those of you that don't understand what those types of characters are, battleships and aircraft carrier characters are main fleet or support type characters, and they sit in the back and they fire heavy guns or they send airplanes when you request them in a fight. Now your heavy cruisers, light cruisers, and destroyers are going to be up in the vanguard, and they're the ones that you're actually moving around, shooting the torpedoes from, and trying to take out the characters that are actually in the combat area. So it's very important that you manage your characters and you understand what are support or main fleet characters and what are vanguard characters. Another thing that we want to look at, right, we'll click on the Tennessee, and this gives you a character overview of what type of equipment that they have, what their stats are, what their skills are, and what there's an affinity that they have towards you. So the more you use a character, they gain affinity points towards you, and it gives you benefits, right? So if you click on the thing that says friendly, that little purple icon next to the name, you click on that, and it tells you that you can reach a maximum of 100 affinity, and the current rating is 63. And then it tells you with the current affinity rating, it gets a plus 1% on all base stats, which that's not, super impressive, but it's also very helpful in a fight, right? So you can get these thing called pledge rings, and essentially it's like you marry this character or you pledge yourself to the character and you get more affinity or whatever. And that's not something that I agree with in the game, but it lets people that get really into anime characters have their thing, but that's not really something I'm concerned about other than statistical improvements. But it is part of the game, oddly enough. If you look over here on the far right side underneath the equipment tab, it tells you what type of equipment is equipped right now, and what like level it is, if it's a rare piece of equipment or a elite piece of equipment, and how much it's been enhanced. Now that little +3, that means that it's been enhanced 3 times. So the base stats of that piece of equipment have been enhanced an additional 3 times. Enhancing is very important, and to enhance, you just click on the icon, click on enhance, and then it tells you how much of these tech books that you need to actually enhance it up another level. In this case, we don't have enough tech books to upgrade the equipment, but that would be how you would enhance it. Now, if you click on a plus sign that's empty, it brings you over to the overall gear tab, and you can see that you have 2 auxiliary tabs. You have a main gun tab, auxiliary gun tab, and an anti-aircraft gun tab. And then you can slot things like repair tools, air radar, anti-torpedo protection, auto loaders, and fire control into the auxiliaries. And this boosts stats like your AA gun rating or your accuracy with your main guns, or you can repair X amount of hit points every 30 seconds, or stuff like that would be what you would equip in your auxiliary tabs. Limit breaking is how you increase your stars, right? So out of 5 stars, Tennessee starts out with 2 as a rare character. So you can, the maximum stars you can make Tennessee was 5. She started out with 2, but in this case, we've enhanced her twice already. And you can see down here in the bottom right corner, it goes over in enhancing, and it shows you like the materials that you can use to enhance. In this case, we would have to have 2 different types of material. In this case, a duplicate character, and also another material, which would be a Bullen, either a regular or the elite Bullen or the prototype Bullen. So the prototype Bullens, and I'll show you that here in a second, are what you would use to limit break, say, a super rare character. In this case, we have Prince of Wales, and I don't know if we have the right level to break her. We'll see. Oh, so we do. Okay, so we can make Prince of Wales a 5-star super rare by using a prototype Bullen Mark II. And you'll see that it's just a gold Bullen, and it's very important because the Bullens will show up in your character tab as a character, but you use the Bullens to get more stars for characters. It's not a good idea to retire them or use them in enhancements, right? So make sure you keep that in mind. And in this case, we're going to use this prototype Bullen to make our Prince of Wales a 5-star. And there we go. We limit. It's called limit breaking. So you're breaking the limit of the ship. In this case, the stats went up quite a bit. 651 hit points. That's massive. Firepower plus 41. That's also very massive. So you get a lot of statistical benefit from limit breaking characters, but keep in mind that the Bullens are not, you don't get a whole lot of them all the time, right? So you have to kind of really think about what characters you want to use the Bullens on. All right, so we just upgraded our Prince of Wales, and now she's got a lot better stats. And you can kind of see the lewd artwork in this case on the Prince of Wales. This is a skin that I purchased, and you can just see it's pure lewdness. Just right out there, uninfringed. Look at us, we're showing cheeks and chest, and there's no shame in it, right? But it's all part of the appeal to get people to buy gems. One of the things that's kind of a drawback to the game, especially when it comes to like comments, and I'll show you right now, like you can tell just in the comments, it's ridiculous. Prince of Wales, get it? You know, it's just ridiculous. Damn, that transparent nipples. You know, just shit like that. It's just ridiculous. Usually you would look in comments about the ship to find out statistically what the Prince of Wales would be good at, but in this case it's just crap. But anyway, like you can see here that elite ships start out as 2-star, I believe, and you can increase them. Rare ships start out as 2-star. Super rares start out as, I want to say, 3 stars. And then you can limit break them up to 6 stars. But super rares are the ones that go up the farthest. And then rares and elites go up to 5 stars. Obviously, elites have a little bit better statistical advantage over rare ships. But it's not much. So you can use rare ships to fulfill the same type of roles that you would let elite ships fill. If you give them good equipment and you enhance the equipment, then rares or commons can be almost as useful as elites. But where the big discrepancy is with super rares. Super rares have the best skills, they have the highest potential out of all the characters, and they're essentially the backbone of your formations. And the more super rares you have, the more set up you'll be. And then elites generally kind of fill the gaps where you don't have super rares. So end game, it's all about super rares, and then wherever you have a gap, you would fill it in with an elite. And then that's essentially how characters break down, right? But you can use all these commons that you're going to get, all these duplicate commons, and enhance your stats for your elites or your rares or your super rares. I would recommend saving a whole bunch of duplicates for enhancing elites and super rares only. Now, if you have rares that you've already invested a lot of time in, like Suffolk, I have a lot of time invested in Suffolk, and I have a lot of time invested in the Tennessee, so I have good equipment, and I've used enhancements on them, and they are just as productive as my super rares. But at the end of the day, towards the end game, those enhancements just won't keep up with super rare characters. Something to note about characters is some of them have these options called retrofit. Now, on the left side of this character tab, you see things like gear, limit break, enhance. We've already talked about all those things, right? But what we haven't talked about is retrofit. Now, if you click on retrofit, you can see that there's options here to upgrade the ship even more. So you can make certain rare ships extremely useful. In this case, we could, if we had enough upgrade material, we could increase the weapon efficiency 5%. That's pretty decent, right? And you just go through all these retrofits and increase the overall stats of certain ships. Only certain ships have retrofit abilities, and these ships are valuable, right? So this allows you to create a rare ship that has statistics that are more in line with, say, an elite ship, or we won't say a super rare, because super rares are essentially supposed to be super rare, right? But you can create this particular ship, which is a rare ship, and make it statistically equal or close to an elite ship, which is very useful, right? This means you don't have to have an elite ship to fill that spot. You can just use this rare ship, and it's just ties into lower end gameplay and not making rare ships irrelevant, you know what I mean? So there will be certain ships that are statistically equal to a tier higher, but you have to improve them using retrofits. But that's pretty much it for like the basic character information on how to get characters. And this video is kind of long, and I don't want to make videos this long usually, but there's a lot of information that goes into character creation and how you manage your characters and what characters are useful for. In the next video, we're going to go over how you set up formations and use characters to build a good formation that works with itself, right? And this is important for mission accomplishment and doing things that require, having your formation set up. But we'll go into formation setup in the next video. Anyway, guys, like, subscribe, comment, share. Let me know what you liked. Let me know what you didn't like so that I can improve the videos. And if there's something you want to know, ask me. And who knows, maybe I'll get around to putting it in a video. Anyway, thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. And I hope you guys have a good day. See you later.